Dude. Dude. Welcome back to another video. Inkwell's note, we carry on. Hello, Maplers of Global MapleStory. It's been about a month since I posted my first note. In that note, I touched upon the future localization direction of GMS and how our service will begin to pave our own path. One that caters to our particular situation and player base. After all, even though Korea MapleStory is where the game's content originates, our service has taken a vastly different turn. I discussed how I was thinking about the long-term direction of GMS and how my plan is only in its infant stages. Even so, I couldn't just ignore pressing issues that needed to be addressed immediately, which is why I share certain decisions that had already been finalized. We started our MapleStory Western project in February of this year, at which time we did a review of the service as a whole. While I shared things with you that had been confirmed in the previous Inkwell's note, I left out many things that were still being discussed. My intent was to not appear ambiguous about things that were still being decided. However, due to the speculations that arose after the last note, I decided to post another note today to elaborate on some of the things players have been wondering about. Today, as the head of Western development, I would like to focus on the game's design and development direction. After my observations of GMS at the start of this year, I decided to first start working on Heroic World. As I joined the decision-making process, I discovered that it can take drastic measures and a lot of persuasion to shift the service into the direction I envisioned. I knew GMS players were worried about the future of GMS after seeing many of the recent changes in KMS, so I focused my response on highlighting the unique elements of GMS and finding a direction that focused on those. My previous note was a place for me to present my thoughts after thinking deeply about those things. As with any undertaking this ambitious, we ran into difficulties when executing our new plans, which led to delays in the second quarter roadmap, but I personally believe it was worth it. I'd like to extend my thanks once again to everyone for their patience. Now, just as I focused on the issues close to the hearts of players of Heroic World in the previous post, I would like to take time today to talk about the issues close to the hearts of players of Interactive World. I'd also like to discuss a few details and some design decisions in June's update, Interactive World. Before I go into those details, I'd like to make one thing clear. I do not intend to take a one or the other selective approach towards this. It's not as if I'm thinking GMS really ought to focus on Heroic World or GMS is really about Interactive World. The two worlds clearly have different characteristics, and I want to home in on and take advantage of those differences. Interactive World has an important place in MapleStory's long history and tradition since the very start of GMS. With Scania and Bara, the friendships, accomplishments, and history of longtime MapleStory players exist in those worlds, and I believe they should continue to exist into the future. However, as I observed Interactive World during the MapleStory Western project, I wondered if players were truly interacting as smoothly as their world type's name implied. I saw several elements in the current structure of GMS's Interactive World that could use improvements in its game design. Also, the trade system and economy should be the foundation of Interactive World. And in those systems too, I saw places where we needed to make improvements to live up to the identity of an interactive world. As such, I would like to address the following issues related to Interactive World. First, I would like to discuss trade-restricted items. Woo! 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 Yeah! Let's go! Let's go, dude! Let's go! Oh my god! Oh. Several items in Interactive World are currently untradeable, restricting the interactive experience that is the identity of Interactive World. This is weakening the flow of goods needed for both leveling up and maintaining a healthy game economy. I took a close look at the history and reasons for these untradeable items in Interactive World. Most of them were made untradeable as a way to mitigate the effect of bot and macro accounts abnormally producing these items. But these restrictions seem excessive in the current environment, and I think the namesake interactive gameplay experience is more important. To decide whether an item should be tradable or not, we'll need time to closely observe and analyze each item, taking into account the current service trends, the demand of each item, and the effect the supply has on the economy. This review process is currently ongoing. However, there is one thing I can mention. No way, dude. They're going to review each item? Bruh! Bruh! Bro! What? What? That's next level, man. I'm... Thank you, Inkwell. However, there is one thing I can mention. As of this summer's update, newly obtained June 12th, newly obtained Soul Error fragments and Nodestone items in Interactive World will be tradable. This will not include versions obtained from events. We will do our best to internally track and manage any issues that could arise from this, and we'll continue to review other items that may need to be changed to tradable. Yes. Yes, 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 yes! Now, let's continue. As I strove to understand why the trade and economy in GMS Interactive World was so strained, I realized it was due to the unique service situation in GMS, one that is so different from other service regions. Part of the difficulty is that not as many people in each game world participate in economic activities. This was discussed internally by Team GMS starting from late February, and I would like to share my current thoughts about it. Two things need to be accomplished. First, we need to ensure a constant influx of new players, as a healthy economy requires a certain threshold of participants. Then, we need to find ways to constantly encourage all players, both new and current, to be active in the economy. As such, a key part of MapleStory Western Project's long-term goals for GMS is to gain new players and increase retention in the game, be it in Interactive World or Heroic World. We're currently working towards that, but I'll talk about that in more detail in the future when it's ready to be revealed. Now, let's discuss another issue in Interactive World. Okay, so that makes sense to me, but isn't the reason the economy was strained, it was because things like Nodestones were untradeable for so long? Imagine if people were able to sell Nodestones from the beginning. Like, you know how much influx of meso and like overall growth and retention that would add? You know how many characters I have sitting with literally max nodes? A few, at least. And I wasn't disassembling them because the value of those nodes like decrease drastically when you disassemble them. So I'm just sitting on a bunch of nodes, which should have been tradable to begin with, right? Instead of sitting on a bunch of those nodes, I could have been selling them, trading them off, making meso, and continue being a part of the economy. Instead, I have a few characters with max node slots, max node stones, and nowhere to put them still, because evidently they're not going to make existing ones tradable. So, yeah, that's definitely one way to keep the economy moving. And of course, soul fragments, we're so early into that. That's a good fix, because that could have been a huge bottleneck. It was beginning to be a bottleneck for me personally. I recently hit, like, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm recording in another room without my computer. But I've gotten to the point where I'm capping Soul Erda, right? The 20 out of 20. But my frags, I have like 50 frags. And the skill to level up a skill, I need like 160 frags. So, yeah, there's no cap, but there kind of was a cap. So making them tradable basically fixes everything with all of that. That was rough. World merge. Oh, sorry. World merge. If revitalizing the game economy of Interactive World doesn't prove to be enough, we are considering a world merge. Yes! Okay. When I say yes, I don't mean yes like I want a world merge, but A world merge wouldn't be a bad idea, and if there was some kind of way to, like, maybe have a private lobby, right? Like, you know how you can make yourself invisible right now when you log in so that people don't know you log in? Like, what if you could press, like, Aurorans only, right? Like, you're in a game, you're in one big merge server, but you don't want to play with the other players, but you want to share the auction house, so you can log in as an Auroran or as a Baron or as a Scanian, and it'll only show you other players from that world, right? And then if you uncheck it, then the other players show up. Like, that might be too extra, but I don't think a world merge is a bad idea, but I also don't think that's the solution. I think an auction house merger. Oh, snap. So never mind. They kind of never mind. So yeah, they don't plan to do a merged auction house. If we do go in that direction, it won't be a current worlds are kept as is, but they'll share a merged auction house type of situation. Okay, so if they decide to do a world merge, this will be a full-blown world merge, according to this note. Hopefully they change their minds on that. The thing that would bother me about a world merge is that we're probably not going to get more channels, right? Or are they going to add more channels? Because right now, Aurora, personally, I play in Aurora, and Aurora has a really good balance of active players and burning maps versus maps that have high burning, because there aren't too many players taking up all the maps. So you could find a decent map burning half the time. It's gonna suck if the world merge happens and then bam, all of a sudden you can't find any maps anymore. And then on top of that, if they bring back Frenzy, that'll be even less maps for everyone, because more people will be using the game, which is good, but like whatever. I'll let them figure this out. They seem to be on the right path now, which is good. I'm happy for this. The last GMS World Merge was in 2019. What? You're for real? Oh wow, I came back in like March 2020, so I barely missed the World Merge. Huh. We've had many game system changes since then, which is why there are several key technical issues that need to be resolved before a world merge could be executed well. Yep, I mean, that makes sense to me. The highest priority would be to resolve these technical issues first, then decide on a direction for the merge method and guarantee it can all be done with stability. This requires a large amount of development effort due to the sheer volume of the task. Plus, we need to ensure player data is handled with care. Therefore, instead of rushing into this, I want to make a decision after a comprehensive review with a focus on ensuring stability. If we do decide to move forward on this, we are tentatively looking at September 2025. I will update you all on this more in the future. Okay. I think an auction house merger would probably resolve the economic situation and be the simpler option, but I don't get paid the big bucks to decide these things. So if a world merge happens, I'm not going to complain. More economy is more economy. It's just going to be interesting dealing with all these people as an Auroran, ex-Baron. originally Ibarra to Auroran, I'm a much bigger fan of the current population to map burning ratios. But hey, if they add Frenzy back to the Marvel machine, maybe we'll give that thing a few spins. Maybe we'll pull our own, and who cares about burning at that point? We have Frenzy. Or maybe we'll pull a fire starter ring. Alright, speaking of Frenzy, number 3, Frenzy Totems. Moving on. I want to point out a current imbalance between players in Interactive World regarding the experience of leveling and of acquiring certain goods. This is not only a problem that current players find frustrating, but it's also a barrier to retaining new players. I'm referring to the topic of the Frenzy Totem in Interactive World. I believe the Frenzy Totem has been a bit of a hot potato in GMS Interactive World for a long time. It's a sensitive topic, but I believe I need to address it. In my exhaustive review this February of the current Frenzy Totem, I observed that only a small number of players have them compared to the total number of players in Interactive World. For how few Frenzies there were, it sure had a massive impact on the game, and yet it was being utilized by only a select few. So what are they saying? That like the top 5%? We're going to be generous here. The top 5% of players were supplying 95% of the economy? I mean, if you... let's keep reading. After the Frenzy Totem was released, Frenzy Totem service became common amongst players. Not only does this cause issues with the game's imbalance, but it also creates imbalance in the leveling experience between players. This is true. This imbalance intensified after the sale of the Frenzy Totem stopped, as you couldn't get the item anymore. Right, so what I don't understand about this, like, this is great that they're finally addressing all this, because they were trying to, not Inkwell, but whoever was pulling strings before wanted this item gone, dude. They were not happy about this item, which doesn't make sense to me, because there's Kishin, right? Like, they introduced a free version of this, and then they're upset that they introduced a pay-to-win version that was making them sales, right? Like, I know this doesn't come down to sales, but you have to bring that up, because there's no way that this wasn't making them money. So, right, they if they know for a fact, and they knew when they were making the item that this was going to be game changing and imbalancing, especially for the people that don't have the totem, right? Are you following? So how can they introduce a skill that does this, right? Kishin. And then they're like, oh, well, if you don't want to be Kishin, if you don't want to be a Kana, you can still do this, right? You just got to put some money into it and get your own skill version item of it, of Kishin. So, like, are they saying that they didn't think Kishin was broken? So then why is Kishin not in the game now? And why were wild totems taken out if the discrepancy between non-frenzy players and frenzy players is so large? Why would you take away the only alternative that was there on top of that, right? So they basically they introduce a free frenzy, like a mini frenzy, Kishin, introduce a pay-to-win one that's much better, and then they introduce a free sort of, like mid-range one, but then they take away the mid-range one and take away the free one, essentially taking both free ones away while keeping the pay-to-win option locked away. So, like, I feel like this actually probably had nothing to do with game balance or anything like that to begin with. This was some shady stuff that was happening before we got to this point, because like it doesn't make sense that you introduce a skill and then a pay-to-win item version of that skill, right? If you thought summoning was like, there was an inherent imbalance with Kana being able to get free extra spawn already, right? That was imbalanced to begin with, so you knew what you were doing when you made the frenzy. Is kind of what that comes down to. Like, all right. A few alternatives are currently being reviewed. What, like a wild totem that works just as good as the frenzy? Like, why didn't they just make wild totem frenzy but not permanent, right? Such as including the frenzy totem again in the Marvel machine. Good. That's exactly what we need, because frenzy service is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty much 90% uptime frenzy when I'm doing my dailies or anything else, or if I'm just casually grinding. But the thing with service is that you have to ask, right? And sometimes they're not available, and sometimes on top of that you have to pay, which isn't bad, right? Like you can make your money back, but an alternative wouldn't be an awful idea. And I'm sure frenzy service sellers wouldn't mind getting a little work off their packs, right? Like maybe they want to, because I don't know what their work schedule is. Like, as far as I can tell, some of these frenzy sellers are basically glued to their seats and just CCing all day, so they literally don't even really get to play the game if they're selling service, right? Like, because they're just running around the game all day selling service. If you have a frenzy totem and you're using that for personal use, good, right? That's like kind of what the intention of that was originally. But if you're going around selling service, like, you're not playing the game either, as far as like grinding and collecting your own stuff, right? All you're doing is collecting meso, and you're helping the economy. Basically, frenzy sellers are helping the economy. They were the ones carrying Maple on their back, dude. Frenzy sellers literally were keeping this game alive single-handedly. Together. Multi-handedly together. Single-handedly. Frenzy totems. Alright, so they're considering bringing Frenzy Totem back and some kind of alternative, which I don't see why they couldn't just bring like a temporary 1 or 2 hour Frenzy Totem that you can buy a few times a month or 20 times a month, like the wild. Like, right? Like, am I crazy? And then if you run out, if you buy all your totems for the month, you could still buy service, right? Okay. No changes will be applied in the summer-June update, but we hope to announce a confirmed plan soon in September. Cool. That's like right around holiday season, you know? Like, I don't know what dates they introduce. I'm not sure what dates they introduce Marvel Machine each year, but that seems like that's probably around that time. I'm excited to see what they decide to do. Maple Reward Shop. I want to let you know that the Maple Reward Shop will be revamped. Not just an interactive world, but across all worlds. Holy smokes, dude! What? What? How long have we had this god-awful shop? No insult to anyone. It's time for change. It's time for change, and we're here. I'm here for this. Bonus glowing cube times 5 whole bonus glowing cubes, dude! I gotta fire up my Maple M again, because we're gonna need these extra points now. I was getting reward points out the wazoo because I'm strong enough to kill most like up to Gloom. I can pretty much solo anything up to Gloom, and I was getting tons of reward points, but most of the time they were just carrying over into the next month, right? If you spend them properly, you don't let any expire. And so I might get the Monster Park tickets or you know, the pet snacks and all that, but I would every month I would have a surplus of reward points and nothing to spend them on. So now they're changing that where we have more cubes to buy, which is good. I think they should be like 10 of each cube, to be honest, like 10 regular, 10 blacks, or what are they called? 10 glowing cubes, right? Yeah, and then bright glowing cubes, and then they should do not just an interactive world, but across all worlds. Holy smokes, dude! What? What? How long have we had this god-awful shop? No insult to anyone. It's time for change. It's time for change, and we're here. I'm here for this. Bonus glowing cube times 5 whole bonus glowing cubes, dude! I gotta fire up my Maple M again, because we're gonna need these extra points now. I was getting reward points out the wazoo because I'm strong enough to kill most like up to Gloom. I can pretty much solo anything up to Gloom, and I was getting tons of reward points, but most of the time they were just carrying over into the next month, right? If you spend them properly, you don't let any expire. And so I might get the Monster Park tickets or you know, the pet snacks and all that, but I would every month I would have a surplus of reward points and nothing to spend them on. So now they're changing that where we have more cubes to buy, which is good. I think they should be like 10 of each cube, to be honest, like 10 regular, 10 blacks, or what are they called? 10 glowing cubes, right? Yeah, and then bright glowing cubes, and then they should do 10 bonus glowing cubes, and then 10 bright bonus glowing cubes, I think, personally. But 5 is good. We're gonna take what we can get for now, especially because I see here now that we're getting unlimited shield warding scrolls and guardian scrolls and the other ones, destruction scrolls, return scroll, shielding, shield, guardian, return. Oh man, I have not primed a weapon since I came back. Like I came back as mentioned earlier in like 2020. I finished priming my Arcane chain by like maybe November, December. Oh no, I actually played Night Lord for a while. Yeah, it wasn't until September that I made my Cadena. So I think it might have been March where I got my prime completed again. Cuz I spent real money. Like I couldn't prime fast enough because I was passing scrolls like crazy. Like literally I only failed like 3 total. And so I was running out of these wards to protect my stuff. So I actually spent real NX on these items when these should have been unlimited, right? Like scrolling is part of the game. And you have scrolls that are end game that boom your items, so you have to provide a way to protect those items, right? Or replace those items. Like with Star Force, you could technically transfer and retain some semblance of the item. Retain the pot, which is that's a lot. It's not nothing. But yeah, and come on, now we get unlimited Android naming tags and item tags. That's actually pretty cool. I like naming my stuff. I wasn't doing that because money, but now they're free. Sheesh, you don't know what I'm going to do with those extra points. Respawn token. Why is this still in this? Does Matilda have a limit? Oh, I guess if you don't want to spend Meso, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. But why would you want to spend reward points now when you have this beautiful big shop? Sharing tag. Am I wrong for this? But the sharing tag never lived up to the potential that this thing should have had, right? I think the sharing tag should be updated to work with pets. Like if you have equipped a pet, because you know, like people in real life, they donate pets. They trade. They you know, if they find a better home for their pet, they will send that pet there. I'm not saying that's like what you should do, but that happens. So if you have, like, let's say an event pet that you got from years ago, why can't we use this sharing tag? Because that, like, the name just seems to work so well. It's like a rename, right? Like, here, I share the name with you, and you can kind of like take over. And have that allow us to make a pet tradable one time so that we can sell it in the auction house, trade it, and then when somebody else opens and uses that pet, they become untradeable again. Or is that asking too much? Because I feel like there's so many pets that just go to die. So many cool pets. And we don't want MapleStory to become Pet Cemetery, right? What else we get? Extra character slot. Unlimited. Well, that doesn't matter for me because I have 56 characters already. Where is the limit razor? Because I've got too many names, man. I've got too many names. Hyper teleport rock unlimited. Well, if you're on event, that's not really important, but yeah, that made no sense that you would limit that in the first place because you want people playing your game more, right? And traveling kind of sucks for some people. Like, they don't want to do that part. So that not being able to teleport around easily or for free or cheaply literally deters people from playing longer. Or technically keeps people longer if they play the slower way, but then gets rid of like new players that are like, well, I don't want to do this. Like, how come my friend's like going all over the place, you know? Like that made no sense to have an item that was beneficial to making players do more quicker, do more efficiently, right? And then Miracle Circulator couldn't have come at a better time now that we're getting presets. I myself still have a shoddy inner ability. I have 20% skip, cooldown skip, which is what I need. But then I have Meso and then some random just garbage third line. So I don't want to re-roll that because I'll lose my cooldown skip. And technically the Meso is not bad. But now that I'll have presets, I can roll until I get the 3 lines that I want and then work on improving those. Heroic World. Okay, so they're adding... that was for interactive. They're adding beauty hair salon coupons ×2 each and pet snack. Did they not have pet snack before? What? So did they actually have to spend real NX on that? I thought... Or did they just buy that with Meso? And now they can buy this with reward points. Whatever. I don't play Reboot. I don't know enough about Reboot to answer that. But that's cool. Congrats. Good for you guys. And then All Worlds. We have... All Worlds, we have... All Worlds, we're getting transparent weapons. Oh, wow. Dude, I have invested in transparent stuff twice because some items are just ugly. And what I mean by twice is back in like 2011, maybe 2010-ish, 2009-ish, there was a permanent cash shop event where any item you bought in the cash shop was permanent. And this was like a 2-week event, maybe a week event, where it's just literally any item you bought was permanent. And in Barra, the world I was playing in at the time, I went bougie. I basically looked like a Royal Surprise box before the Royal Surprise box was introduced. And I still have that permanent set that you probably are. And some of that stuff is transparent because that shit hits, dude. That shit hits like no other. If you got an item that kind of clashes with another one, transparent, boom, fixed, problem solved. So now, on the second world, Aurora, I have spent a few bill. Oh my gosh, no. Oh my gosh, dude. They're so good at getting me. I realized they had a permanent cash shop event like that same month I came back. And you know what I did? I spent the money and I bought a permanent set again for my Night Lord that I remade. And then I had to wait for a cash shop transfer event when I remade my Cadena because I wanted to move all that stuff to Cadena, which is it's now all there. And I bought a few in the auction house too, like the transparent weapon. I don't think you were able to buy that one, or I was being cheap at the time and I didn't want to get that one with real money. But I ended up getting that for like 600, 700 mil in the auction house at some point. But this is great. 90-day duration, no limit. So if you randomly, you find something in the auction house that's nice, you put it on, clashes with your earrings, boom, transparent earrings. Get them in the reward shop. Especially if it's a mule, you just want them to look good for the time you're playing them. Get them to 250 during a hyper or a Terra 200. Shit, dude. Shit, we eating good. Dude. Oh, we eating good. Whoa. Oh, dude. Oh, my gosh. And pets. They're adding pets, dude. Free pets. Like, you could already get free pets. Like, you could get the free frog from the Shawatown boss. But who's doing the Shawatown boss? The crystal sucks. And the reward points are nothing. Like, you should get double the reward point. You should get 60 because of how annoying that boss is to fight. Not kill. Like, killing it's easy. But to actually start the fight with that thing should be worth 100 reward points. But I guess the caveat to that is that he does reward a pet. But so does Gila. And Gila is easy. Easy to get to, right? You just click. And then you're there, and you go through a couple portals, and you're done. But now, we don't even have to worry about that, because we're getting Green Chad. Is that Mel or May? Green Mel and Orange Leon. Why do I love these names so much, dude? They're so good. They're so good. And then we get unlimited water. Dude, concentrated premium water lives were getting too expensive. Let's be honest here. Like, I still buy them, but they were like 100 mil for the longest time. And then I guess someone bought every single one or something and decided to just price them at $3. They're almost like, they're like 250 now, 230 now. I'd have to double check. But, like, whoever did that, shame on you. I understand that you can, like, equate the value of the life, right? Like, what is it, like 2K, 2 point something K, if you were to buy that for NX. But you guys aren't buying those for NX. You guys are getting those as extras, extra random pulls for when you're trying to pull a pet. So, like, I don't know. I feel like the concentrated water of life thing is well, it's kind of resolved now, right? Like, and maybe people will drop the price on those, because why wouldn't you just buy one of these if that thing's like 300 mil? Like, I wouldn't spend 300 mil on them now. I'd spend 100 mil on them now, though. 150 maybe, but 300 mil? Hell no! I will tell you about other things we're considering next time. Oh my gosh, so they're considering more items. Bruh! I feel like I'm ascending. Like, my body's like vibrating. Like, I just feel giddy, dude. For now, I'd like to discuss some things about the summer update. Upcoming updates. GMS is now officially moving in the direction of providing the type of service that best suits the needs of our own service. With this summer update, MapleStory Western Project wants to make a public statement and mark a watershed moment for our GMS service. Yes, indeed. Watershed? Watershed! Watershed! Very good. Very good. Therefore, while the GMS update this June will be based on the KMS Dreamer update, it won't follow the update as is. GMS will move forward with its own update. Oh, so that's the name. The update name and slogan will also be different than that of KMS Dreamer. Honestly, with all the name scheming they've been doing, like, what was the last one? Like New Age and Sixth Job and Dreamer being like an extension of the New Age patch, right? Because they're adding a new Sixth Job skill. So it's kind of like part 2 of Sixth Job, you know? Honestly, I didn't really get the Dreamer name. Like, I don't know. Like, I was, whenever I look up that patch, I'm lost, I'm confused. I go to Orange Mushroom's blog and I'm reading and I'm like, did this happen like 3 years ago? Did this happen like, and I'm reading about this, right? Just whoever decided to change the name, good call, because that Dreamer name was not working. Not for me. Like, whenever I was trying to look into that update, I was just like, I don't know what's going on. So, good call. I'm happy with that. We've reimagined the name and slogan of the update to celebrate this milestone. Stay tuned, as we'll be announcing it on our official website in a few days. Nice. Is that the bowl cut hair? The contents of the summer update was previously revealed in the Q2 roadmap. I'd like to clarify a few things to help Maplers understand some details. Oh my gosh. For those of you who haven't seen the previous Inkwell's note, and for those of you who weren't sure what to expect after my previous post, I wanted to touch on this topic once more. As mentioned in the previous Inkwell's note, GMS will maintain its own specs for the following matters. These decisions were made by taking into account the current gameplay experience of GMS players as well as the nature of the GMS service. There will be no adjustments to the following in GMS. The maximum amount of mesos players can earn while hunting monsters. Good. The availability of cubes and how potentials are obtained and adjusted. Okay, so no pity system. That's a pity. Maybe that we'll get something like that later on. Meso acquisition multiplier and the price of intense power crystals in heroic worlds. Oh, but does that mean there will be adjustments for interactive? Because, bruh, how can you get 5 times meso, like regular meso mobs, and 5 times boss crystal, and we are still on the same rates since like since I came back, we haven't gotten any improvement in our rates at all. At all. In fact, because of Wild Totem being removed, we've technically lost rates, right? For people that used to use Wild Totems and then didn't replace that with, or supplement that with Frenzy Service. Like, 2 times or 3 times our boss crystals. Come on, man. For Interactive World. Yeah. And the availability of Ursus. Awesome. They already confirmed that before, but that is just nice to know. I mean, technically, with Frenzy, I think you outpace with proper meso gear and everything else. You outpace Ursus, but also if you one shot, if you go brrr, bleh, if you show up to Ursus and you're like brrr, and you just one shot him, that's pretty fast too. I can't do that, but if I go with the guild, our guild usually, if we get the right people, we sweep through that thing in like 10 seconds, and that's worth 2-3 runs, 10 seconds each, 15 seconds each, boom, done. That's way faster than Frenzy, but at the same time, if you're not doing as fast, then what is this epic dungeon high mountain shit? Looks epic. High Mountain is new content added in KMS Dreamer Update number 3 and is high-level content for level 266 job characters. Is this like a new monster park? Like, is this permanent, or is this just for part of the event? In GMS, we're making the epic dungeon playable, starting with Summer Update number 1, so that players can obtain the perks of the content quickly. I believe you'll enjoy accelerating your growth as quickly as possible with large amounts of experience and Soul Era related rewards. Really? Really? Cool. However, in regards to the Maple Coin system, which was first introduced in the KMS Dreamer Epic content, after internal review within Team GMS, we have decided not to introduce the Maple Coin system for GMS in this update. Okay, yeah. I think I read something about this on Orange Mushroom's blog about Maple Coins giving you like mesos every month or every day, something like that, instead of, because they have meso cap now, so they needed a different way to introduce meso. But they're not bringing that system to us. Honestly, good. I don't want to have another system to focus on about like, am I min-maxing properly? Because I don't even have 8K Legion. I have like almost 7K. So yeah, like speaking of Mule Guide video soon, 180 stars. I'd like to provide some additional insight on this. The reason why Maple Coin is not currently being implemented has a lot to do with GMS maintaining its own specs in the base system mentioned above. Unlike with the KMS Streamer update, the GMS environment will not be implementing a cap on mesos earned. We'll continue to maintain a high mesos acquisition multiplier in Heroic Worlds, and will continue to maintain the Ursus content as a mesos source. Bet. Therefore, we decided that the Maple Coin system in the KMS Streamer update, which was put into place to account for the removal/change of the above systems, was not suitable for GMS. To create a positive gameplay experience, we're removing Maple Coins from the rewards and replacing them with Soul Erda fragments. Nice! Which are essential for leveling up, thereby keeping the rewards in alignment with the direction of the GMS gameplay. Okay, so this seems like a permanent thing. Like, this is a new PQ style thing, dungeon PQ monster parks-esque thing, where you can get experience and Erda and actually progress without being forced to buy Frenzy Service. We will keep an eye on the Maple Coin system in future KMS content update trends. If at some point in the future we feel that the use of Maple Coin in GMS would be a positive addition to the gameplay service, we are open to considering it in a way that best fits our service environment at that time. However, at least for now, Maple Coins will not be introduced to GMS. Aren't Maple Coins already in the game? Or were? Shouldn't they just reintroduce CPQ, Monster Carnival PQ, and just give us soul order fragments for level 260. I'm joking. A guy can dream, right? 3. Addition of Grandis continent familiars. It's about time. There have been ongoing requests from GMS players to add familiars to the Grandis continent. This update adds familiar drops to the Cernium area of the Grandis. Oh, so July 17th is when we'll get familiars. Okay, that's still kind of a while. After this update, we will continue to consider updating familiar cards to the other Grandis areas sequentially. Why don't they do Cernium and Hotel at the same time? Because if you think about this, especially by July, everyone that came back for New Age in November, December is probably like 265, 270 by now, right? So literally, if they're talking about retaining players, especially new players, anyone that came back in November, December, and is now struggling through Hotel and what did I call it? Odium. Right? Like they're not still in Cernium. Like anyone that came back in that time frame, they're not in Cernium. So this is great. Like I'm not complaining, but if as you've mentioned above, if you're trying to retain players, like Hotel Arcus at least is going to help with that, because that's where most of these players are, and most of them are they're arriving to Odium now, or they just got to Odium recently, like me. I'm not one of those players that came back, but I was one of those players that happened to hit 260 at the same time that 6-drop came out. So, yeah, I'd been 250 for like a year before that, because if you remember, dailies didn't give experience, or if they did, they didn't give it basically any. Like you still had to grind up until recently, up until they added experience to the dailies. Number 4, GMS Special Event. In line with the slogan of the new update, I've prepared some small events to thank you for your support and patience with the GMS service. Participate in the events to earn exclusive rewards. The campaign will start in the summer update. Okay, cool. So there's like some specific GMS events. That'll be nice. Get some content out of that. Closing remarks. Since the last Inkwell's note, I've been overwhelmed by your support and by your love for MapleStory. In fact, for a month after that, there were both internal and external dilemmas that undermined the plans and the approach that I and the team GMS developers were pushing for. Being able to announce today's note, as well as the last note, involved a lot of good faith and convincing. Thank you for your efforts, Inkwell. Much appreciating. Nevertheless, I believe that it's right to overcome these difficulties if it means making the game better. I don't want to compromise and take the easy path. I want to remain on the right path, even if it's difficult and takes time. I hope for your continued support. Everyone on Team GMS has been hard at work preparing for this summer update. I am grateful that so many Maplers are interested in and love what we do. To thank all of our players for their patience and in anticipation of the new update and all the future changes to GMS, I've prepared a small gift. Woohoo! More Magpots! You can never go wrong with a Magpot. And experience Nodestones? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Growth Potion Selector Coupon, Selector Symbol Coupon, Fairy Bros Damage Skin Selection Box, and Street Smart Sunglasses. Wish those were permanent, but I mean, technically this is like a random extra, right? They're not, this isn't like a planned event, so can't blame him for wanting to keep those limited. Claim period. May 29th to June 12th, so probably claim those a couple days before June 12th or right before reset so that you can maximize the expiration time if you don't plan on using them immediately. Visit the event hall, talk to Maple Administrator NPC, claim Inkwell's thank you gift. Characters must be level 101 or 0 characters must have completed Story Quest Arc 2. And rewards are claimable once per account. Note, experience Nodestones and symbol selector coupons, 500, 100, can only be claimed by characters level 200 plus. Well, that makes sense to me. Thank you for reading this long post. I hope you look forward to more enjoyable MapleStory coming this summer. As much as you trusted and waited for us, we'll return the favor. Wow, this was very eloquently written. This was something else, dude. This is like the Maple gods smiled upon us and like handed Inkwell a page out of their book of what they would say and how they would say that, because this is Hanbyul Hanbyul, head of Western Development with Team GMS, and a beautiful tree and a little mushroom car. Is that the car that he came in? Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment on what you're excited for and what you think about all this.